All right, so today we're doing a sewer water test, and actually it's a sewer isolation. So what we've done, we've already come out and determined that there's a leak on the sewer line and there's a leak on the water line. What we're gonna do to start the sewer isolation today is come in and put test balls on both sides of the two-way cleanouts. Now, if you're not sure what a two-way cleanout is, we've done a video showing us installing one of those. So go look at that video and see what the two-way cleanout is, because we recommend having those outside of every house you're trying to do a sewer test on. The reason being, that lets you actually get a test ball in a position where you can fill up the house side and tell if any water is leaking past it. So the very first thing that we're gonna do today is do the isolation test on the two-way cleanouts, just to make sure that they're holding, so we know every test we do from there is good. So let's get started with that. So as you see, we've got our two-way cleanouts here. The very first thing we're gonna do on a sewer isolation is isolate these cleanouts. The reason being, this is our baseline. This is where we're gonna test everything from. So we wanna make sure that these hold. So what our plan is, pull a test ball in right about here and do one in the back. Now, like I said a while ago, if you've seen me install the two-way cleanouts before, you know now we like to use the two combinations. The reason being, that gives us a good space in between to put a test ball. We can fill one side then, watch the other side and make sure nothing's leaking through. When you've got the two-way clean out, the single fitting like this, there's not a lot of room in between them. Literally right here, you're looking at a couple of inches. What we would normally do, try to put a test ball in between them. Since we can't do that, we're gonna wax up our balls really good. We're gonna stick one in here, bring it back this way, blow it up. We're gonna put one the other way, blow it up. Then we're gonna fill up this pipe and make sure everything out here holds. And we've gotta do this to start, because this is where everything else comes from. So what we do at this point, we take a picture, we check the time. We'll give it 15 minutes to see how much the water level drops. If it doesn't drop at all, we know it's good. If it drops, now we understand that there's a leak here that we need to address before we can get started with the rest of it. So while that's sitting there and we're waiting to see what the water does, I like to walk around the house and look. So what we've got up here, we've got a vent up on the roof, and I know there's a restroom here, but I like looking to see, are there any wall cleanouts or are there any ground cleanouts, maybe the end of the line cleanouts that I wasn't able to see. So I just like to walk around and look at it to see what I've got, but that's why I do that. So it gives me something to do while the water level is setting, and I can get out and see what all's going on. So we came around, we found a wall clean out. So while that's sitting there, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and run a sewer camera down it towards the two-way clean out. That way we can see, is there anything major? Is there a break? Are there roots? Is there mud? Is there anything that may just be obvious and make it, well, look, we can stick a test ball in here, isolate this section, and test everything else and see how it does. Now, we're not gonna know about our test till after the two-way cleanouts, but this gives me an opportunity to get a visual and see if there's anything in here that I can see. Okay, so as you can see, the water level has dropped about 3 inches. There's no bubbles coming up. We know our test balls aren't losing any air. We know that we're not getting water by there, and we wax them up really good. So we know that we've got one, probably about 2 feet this way, one about 2 feet that way. So we know that in this area right here, we have a leak that is actually allowing water to come out. It's coming out pretty quick for this small of an area. Now, whenever we came out and did the original sewer water test, it dropped about 1/4 inch in 15 minutes. Y'all saw me walking around the other side and doing stuff over there. It took us about 20 minutes to drop 3 inches, but that tells me that there's a leak here. Whenever we did the whole house, it only dropped about 1/4 inch in 15 minutes. But remember, you've got a lot of area to cover, and that water to come down 1/4 inch really could be a lot of water, because we're covering all that horizontal plus all the different risers. So what we're gonna recommend to this homeowner is we come in and replace these two-way cleanouts. That way we make sure we fix this leak right here. Then we can test the rest of the house, see if it's good, or see what we have to do from there. Now, Whenever we stuck the camera in a while ago, you noticed there was mud. Now, hopefully that's just an old buildup inside the cast iron pipes, but my other recommendation would be that we come in and we hydrojet from the far end of the house to this end. That way we know those lines are good and clean, so when we run a camera through it, we can actually see it all very well. Okay, so we've waited 15 minutes now, and the water level's gone down probably, again, about 1/4 of an inch. Again, that's not a lot. In a situation like this, what we want to do is we want to run a hydrojetter through here. We want to make sure the inside of the cast iron lines are cleaned off good. And look, you saw we waxed the balls up pretty good. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we don't have anything leaking on both sides of this. We went ahead and ran a camera in the other end just to try to get through and see what we could see if there was anything major. And we're going to do the same thing here, but I would really like to get a hydrojetter here and clean these lines out. That way I know these balls are sealing off well and we're not getting just a minimal leakage past them. I don't want to sell this customer anything they don't need, but I want to make sure that we find the problem and know for sure that's what it is before we try to do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and let this test off and run a camera in here and see what it looks like. So what I'm doing is just kind of going through the sewer out towards the main just to see if there's anything major that I see. Cracks, breaks, anything like that, roots, intrusions. There's really nothing. This doesn't look too bad. Yeah, a little stuff on the bottom, but I mean, it really doesn't look bad. Look at there, got a little turd. That was a floater. It's a blackout turd too. I knew when I hit it that it put my camera out. Okay, so now we're going to go the other way. Okay, so 45. Right there, Y. Got a belly holding some water there. I don't see anything major. I mean, I see it's got some bellies and stuff, but yeah, we need to run a hydrojetter through here. It's kind of a hot one today, and I love coming out to jobs like this and seeing what all we've got going on. Did the test twice. First time it dropped, second time it still dropped, not as much. It dropped more like what happened when we came out and did the water sewer test. So what we did is we ran a camera in, as you saw from the wall clean out outside. There's a lot of damage down at the bottom of that because we're getting a lot of what looks to be mud. It could just be cast iron buildup from the inside over the years. We also moved the camera over to this end where the two-way clean out is and went both directions. Going out towards the city, it didn't look bad. Going back up under the house, there were some bellies and things like that. We didn't see anything major though. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bring a hydrojetter back. So we're gonna go get a hydrojetter. We're gonna bring it back. We'll try to do that later today. Run a hydrojetter from the back wall clean out all the way in. That way we come all the way in past the two-way clean outs. We can clean it out really, really well. Then what we'll do, we'll run a camera through it again. Then we either go from the wall clean out or from here, go both ways. But we want a picture to see what the overall sewer system looks like. But the main reason is when we put the test balls in, we want to make sure everything seals off good, seals off tight, so we give them a good test.